5 Spanish clubs kick off their Champions League campaign this week. Athletics Club's first Champions League match in a decade will be at home to Arsenal. Atletico Madrid kick things off with a difficult test away at Anfield. Barcelona look to build off last year's semi-final run, starting with a trip to St James Park. We're going to be talking all things Champions League, more so with Phil Kitromilides. Thanks for joining us, Phil. Let's talk about Real Madrid. What's impressed you with this side so far, not just in this last weekend's match, but the whole start to the season? They've had a great run so far.
They have, and I think they've improved game by game by game. They're the only team to have won 4 matches out of 4, and they're the only team to have only had a 2-week pre-season. It's the shortest pre-season in history for Real Madrid, but somehow they've managed to hit the ground running, grind out results. Like I said, the first game against Osasuna, they won 1-0. They weren't brilliant. Then they beat Oviedo 3-0. They beat Mallorca 2-1. And then this game against Real Sociedad, they were playing some really nice football in the first half, but that controversial red card from Dean Huijsen kind of conditioned the rest of the match. The manager, Xabi Alonso, afterwards says, well, you've got to learn how to win with 10 men, which is exactly what they did. They sat back in the second half. They invited Real Sociedad onto them, but they defended well enough to be able to pick up a big victory. I think it's interesting when we talk about Xabi Alonso and his new era and the differences between him and Carlo Ancelotti. There have been many differences between him and Carlo Ancelotti, but one of them I think was picked up in the build-up to the Real Sociedad game. The 2 Madrid-based sports newspapers had the same headline from the pre-match press conference. Xabi Alonso said, "Juega el que lo merezca." Whoever deserves to play will play. And both of these papers picked that up because it might be a little bit in stark contrast to how things were under Carlo Ancelotti, when maybe we knew who was going to be in the starting 11 9 times out of 10 here. Xabi Alonso is not afraid to drop players. He's not afraid to bring players off if they're not performing. He's using his whole squad, and it has been a perfect start so far.
Phil, let's stay on that topic about Xabi Alonso and how he's feeling out this team and who he wants to rely on. So they have plenty of options in the attack, and I don't think that we're totally sure what his best 11 is, but you tell me, what do you see them doing in the Champions League this week with those attackers?
It's a good question, because Vinícius started against Real Sociedad. Kylian Mbappé started. He's going to start every game. And Brahim Diaz started. So the question is, who's going to play on the right side? Because Vini should start every game, really. Most games he should start. Maybe Rodrigo will alternate a little bit. But, Mbappé is going to start every game, and Vinícius will start 80% of the matches. It's who's going to play on the right-hand side. So you've got options there for Brahim Diaz, you've got Franco Mastantuono, and in theory, you've got Rodrigo, who previously only ever played on the right-hand side for Real Madrid. But obviously Xabi Alonso has decided that I think his best place is on the left, so he's going to be an understudy to Vini. I mean, the most impressive thing I think about Real Madrid on an individual level is what we've seen from Kylian Mbappé. I mean, he's getting close to being unstoppable. And that performance against Real Sociedad was absolutely extraordinary. It was kind of like a message to the rest of the league and maybe to the rest of Europe. Like, I am back to my best, physically and mentally as well. Because last season there was a point he admitted he hit rock bottom. He missed a penalty in Bilbao. Real Madrid lost, and he came out on social media and said, "I hit rock bottom." And since then, he found his scoring touch, and now he's physically looking back to his best as well. So Kylian Mbappé is looking extremely strong. Like I said, he's going to play almost every game. Vini will play, I reckon, about 80% of the matches. And then on the right, there's that question mark. Will it be Brahim? Will it be Franco? Will it possibly be Rodrigo? Although it doesn't look like it.
Okay, Phil, it's time for our Xfinity fast track to victory now. We saw Rudiger wasn't even included in the squad this weekend. Have you been convinced by this backline, especially they're going to be playing against high standard teams going into this Champions League campaign? What are your thoughts on the defence for Real Madrid right now?
Yeah, I mean, they've had some injury problems, and obviously the injury to Antonio Rudiger is a problem. Dean Huijsen, who has had a really, really strong start to life as a Real Madrid player. His rise has been absolutely meteoric, from playing for Bournemouth to being first choice for Real Madrid and Spain within about 6 months. It's really quite extraordinary. Huijsen alongside Eder Militao is a pretty solid centre-back pairing. I think not only does Huijsen bring the ability to defend and to recover and cover as well. He's really good at bringing the ball out from the back as well, and that's been absolutely vital in Real Madrid's construction of play. And they've got fullbacks back as well. You know, Dani Carvajal missed the whole of last season, so to have him back is a massive boost. He's got competition for place with Alexander-Arnold being signed as well, which is good. It's good for him to have competition and not to feel like he's guaranteed a spot. And Alvaro Carreras has turned out to be a brilliant signing for Real Madrid at left back, and he's slotted in very nicely. So I think the back four looks pretty good. Maybe they could have done with one more centre back to provide a bit of cover. There is Raul Asensio, there is David Alaba, who hasn't really played much for about a year and a half. And Tchouaméni could slot in at the back, but he's so important in midfield that we probably won't see that happen too much. But yeah, I think it's been a pretty positive start defensively for Real Madrid, which is where they had to improve big time from last year.
Phil, you can't talk about Real Madrid without talking about the refereeing or some decision, right, in La Liga. It's new week.
I can.
Same story. Yes, you can.
Thank God.
I don't mind. I don't want to talk about the refs, but yeah.
The club has come out and they said they're going to file a complaint. I believe they already have to FIFA for the refereeing decisions that Jesus Gil Manzano made in that match.
Yeah.
So what's the latest with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not just that match. It's the first 4 matches of this season and all of last season. There is a dossier that they have compiled of perceived injustices purported to them by referees across Spain. I mean, I do think it's pretty tiresome to have to talk about refereeing. Listen, I don't think it was a red card. Absolutely don't think it was a red card. You know, sometimes these things happen. I do not think there is a generalized witch hunt for Real Madrid by Spanish referees that are out to get them, but the club feels otherwise. It has been, by the way, a determined sort of editorial shift from Real Madrid to go for the referees. You know, cards on the table here. I used to work for Real Madrid TV. I was there for 9 years, and there wasn't the focus on referees that there has been in the last few years. It's certainly been a concerted effort to be like, right, we are going to focus for the referees and we are going to go for them. And they've taken this to FIFA. What FIFA's going to do, I don't know. They're going to look at this dossier and think, all right, thanks guys, thanks for this. What do you want me to do with this? But they want it basically out there that they are deeply, deeply unhappy with how they are being refereed in Spain.
Phil, isn't this exhausting? I don't know, from the outside. And what is the reaction to this in Spain?
Yes.
Is it every team is going to do this now? I'm tired of hearing Real Madrid complain that the referees are out to get them, and Barcelona does the same thing, and everything goes to Tebas, La Liga, the Champions League referees. It's just also exhausting for me.
It is. It's very, very boring, mate. I mean, I really don't like talking about referees, but seemingly here in Spain, it is very, very much one of the big topics. But like I said, it is a concerted effort from Real Madrid. They have focused their efforts on going for the referees. And Real Madrid have a 24-hour TV network here in Spain, which is on free-to-air TV. So it goes out. If you want to watch it in every house across Spain, there's Real Madrid TV, and there's the message that is being put out by the club about the referees. So perhaps we hear more about it from Real Madrid because they're the only club that has this TV channel that is in everybody's house in Spain, and because they are being very, very, very forthright in their complaining about referees. But yeah, I am bored, I'm exhausted, I'm a little bit sad as well that it's become to this. I mean, honestly, I just think it's beneath Real Madrid. Like, you're the biggest club in the world, you're the most successful team in the world, you've won more Champions League than anyone, more Ligas than anyone. You know, you don't need to do this, but obviously they feel that they do.
Okay, Phil, we're not gonna make you talk about the refereeing decisions anymore. Thanks so much for joining us. We've got an exciting week with all the Spanish clubs playing in the Champions League, so I'm sure you'll be watching that and we'll have you back